live, ladies and gentlemen. There it is, believe it or not. Yo-ho! Welcome, hi! Yeah, hey! Alright. So I make my way around the corner here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the imho.love show. I'm Lou Angelwolf. This is Mike Murburg.
Hi,
and we're here. We're in the studio. And that's what we've been hoping for, and we've done some successful shows from here, but now we have the your Spectrum guy tightened you up, man.
Yeah, good old Mike.
Another guy named Mike.
Yeah, good old white guy named Mike.
When you need a nice white bike.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He is a good guy.
there you go.
Fix the problem.
Very nice.
Reliable guy.
Yes, we love Mikes of the. There used to be a club called Mikes of America. You remember
Really?
that? Yeah.
No, it was before my time.
No, it was during your time.
Really?
It was in. They had an ad in the back of National Lampoon magazine. I had a friend named Mike, and I sent him the membership of Mikes of America,
Yeah.
and we never mentioned it
Yeah,
afterwards.
it's an exclusive club, I guess. Like they had John's of America, but all you kept on pulling up on the internet was porta potty.
Or guys looking for a date. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. imho.love. In my humble opinion, .love. Lou Angelwolf, Mike Murburg. Here we are in beautiful Darby Ranch, Florida. This is the home of the CE5 experiences that we have here. Human-initiated contact experiences of incredible regularity. And we really are thankful and grateful for this blessed time to share with you during the show. The show is about CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, or HICE, Human-Initiated Contact Experiences. And we share a lot about that. We also talk about some eclectic pieces of history or current events. And we try to blend in a little humor, as we both come from humorous backgrounds. Anyway, welcome, folks. Good to be here. Thanks for everybody that put up with us trying to get our technical stuff done. And we appreciate your patience. And hopefully we'll make it all worth it for you. Tonight's topic of the show is the total of everything, which is a bit of a lofty goal for a video cast, that we would be able to surmise the total of everything.
Well, it's like in remember the movie City Slickers?
Yes?
Where Billy Crystal goes up to Palance and he goes, what's the secret, And he goes, just one thing. It's like, wow, I didn't get it until like 3 seconds ago. Just one thing.
Yep. And really it is. It is, if you really stand back and you really take a third-person omniscient point of view, throw your ego away, throw everything, all your preconceived notions, all your religious experiences, all your bathroom graffiti knowledge, just get rid of it all, okay? And if you really sit and look in a very logical way, if you do logical, as you see smaller versions of this in the world, like if you look at an ant farm, okay, you watch the ants moving and the dirt goes and they go here and there's, activity.
Yeah, watching them argue whether it's going to be strawberries or tomatoes that they're going to plant.
Exactly, yes. The big kvetching of the ants. And you see these microcosm worlds and you kind of look how they operate. Well, we're in the same thing, just on a much, much grander scale. And the total of everything is the fact that this is all one thing, and we all, I so agree with this, we all share the same consciousness. And we
all share the same underlying consciousness.
Underlying consciousness?
Yeah, I would put it that way, because We each have our separate points of view.
Yes.
But there's an underlying consciousness that unites us all and our ability to do everything that it is that quantum physics suggests we're able to do.
Yes.
Like go back in time.
Okay.
Like, remote viewing.
Yes.
Reading somebody else's mind.
Yes.
I mean, there are people that I am sure that I'm not on the same wavelength with.
Oh, yeah.
And probably never will be. But underlying us all, whether they know it or not, is the same divine intelligence.
Yes. Yes. There is a consistent thread in all living things. And the consciousness permeates everything. And I think what it is as individual humans, you tap into it at your level, at your specific level. And the level of your consciousness, your frequency, your energy is supposed to be here. It is part of that whole butterfly effect thing. It is supposed to be here. People are supposed to awaken at the point that they awaken. And what the beautiful thing about this grand consciousness is, it still functions at all levels. From the lowest, darkest, most gruesome, horrible point of view or stirring of life, to the most elevated, beautiful, healing, love festival thing. That whole spectrum and everything in between and everything outside of it and every other facet of the dimension that you would imagine, that is all... It's all supposed to be like that. And we're all supposed to be exactly where we are. You're supposed to be watching this video cast right now. I'm supposed to be at Mike's house. We're supposed to be at the ranch. There's supposed to be the cattle out in the field. And, I mean, everything is the way it's supposed to be, because the reality of it is it really can't be any other way. And
the contrary belief would be it's all by chance.
Right.
But the reality is, and that's where you come into synchronicity.
Yes.
If it was all by chance, then synchronicity wouldn't exist. And because synchronicity exists, it can't all be by chance.
Well, chance gets greatly outweighed pretty easily. You know what I mean? There's just too much psychic energy, psychological energy, shared energy, love energy, hate energy. There's just too many energies that go into creating circumstances that, luck or luck of the draw or happenstance. I mean, I'm sure it has there's some fateful days, like, well, for instance, our friendship was on a fateful day of saying goodbye to our dear friend Steve Baird.
Yeah, who was a contactee, experiencer, and Steve and I were brought together through different circumstances.
Yep.
Same thing. One would think that this is a premeditated occurrence, and I have a tendency to believe yes, subject to it's the path of Tao. You can always stray, but the path is always there.
Right.
So, once you get into the flow of things and don't stray from the path, then things fall your way, and you are where you're supposed to be. You can fight it all you want, and that's where free will enters into things. And if you don't exercise your free will in such a way as to, find the path and go with it, then you get to redo this over and over again. It's firing in the crucible. You have the absolute right to do this on your own and not get it right.
Yes.
And you don't end up in this position. But there are an infinite number of possibilities for you to get it right and for you to end up in the same place, even though you screwed up.
Yeah, I agree. And we all find that an ordered way of thinking or accepting this world as we see it. Everybody has an individual concept, and there's seven some billion people in the world. Is the current 7.3 billion, something like that.
Yeah, I just looked the other day, and
It's about that, isn't it?
yeah, it's something like that.
Okay. And I've always said, one of the many definitions of religion is way of life. So if there's 7.3 billion people in the world, that kind of also tells me that there's 7.3 billion religions or ways of life. You can be brought up in the same community of many people. I mean, even a small village, a large city, whatever, and you're going to have a varied way of life than the guy standing right next to you that you grew up next to. The beautiful thing about this consciousness is it is as complex as everything else that goes along with it. I mean, just the energy that goes into growing trees, the energy that goes into moving the seas, the energy that goes into controlling weather, however all this is supposed to be, however all this gets orchestrated through a creator spirit, through a life force, which is probably the most logical way to describe it. People try to take that beautiful creative energy and reduce it down to a manageable size. And they equate, leaders and philosophers of their mindset. And it's a smaller bite-sized piece. Because actually understanding and trying to absorb the wholeness of everything, the oneness of everything, it's a grandiose task. And you got to really loosen some bolts of stuff that your preconceived notions. You totally have to set your ego adrift to let yourself be taught this stuff. And the beautiful thing that happens is you do get these wonderful flashes of revelation, but then and you feel so complete and so part of the oneness and so full. And then, you get a phone call from a grouchy relative and they set you right back into your humanoid social mode.
Yeah, or you can try to convince them out of their grouchiness and then realize that they're just happy to be in their grouchiness and there's nothing you can do.
That's how they're filling their day.
Don't let it get you,
Yeah.
I mean, I want to kind of interject. Lao Tzu said that even the faintest bit of starlight affects everything.
Yes.
And
Amen.
And one way to think about this, and it's an important way, is I was out on the balcony of my place the other day, and a breeze came by, and it was a wonderful breeze. It was relaxing, it was cool, it was everything a good breeze is supposed to be,
Sure.
And then it occurred to me, I said, I wonder where that breeze came from.
Right.
And then I said, well, yeah, maybe it came from a cloud or the change of temperatures that were inverting and, a high pressure zone blowing into a low pressure zone. And I realized that all that was irrelevant, that breeze came to me that way, and it began to come my way from somewhere that began at the beginning of the infinite.
Absolutely.
So,
wow, that's beautiful.
And that kind of tied it all together. Is like there's no escaping the fact that we're in present time and place in infinite time.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That's wow.
You could tell I've been listening to some people like Donald Hoffman and Thomas Campbell and Nassim Haramein. I mean, they're getting it.
Well, sure. And the beautiful thing about it is, I think what we West Coast Florida guys are landing on here is the interaction with our extraterrestrial family, our efforts to understand the oneness of all things, and the reason that this show is important to us, and I'm so grateful for everybody that watches and listens regularly. I'm so grateful for everyone that shares this, because this is just two guys speaking their heart. The show really has evolved to that. It's what I always hoped it would be, and Mike and I have grown in our consciousness as friends, as reporters, as, CE5 initiators, instructors. The reason that this is important is the energy that you project. We're here to tell you or share with you or ask you or present to you or ask you to contemplate the level of energy that you are projecting. Knowing that you can change the whole world with good thoughts, positive ideas, peace. These are proven things. Peace has ruled many lands in the past. There have been gaps of time where there was no war, where everyone was content. And those types of energies are readily available every day. For you, for me, Mike, whomever is seeking that, it's there. And you get there through meditation, understanding, forgiveness, declination of ego.
Read the Tao Te Ching.
Read the Tao Te Ching. Absolutely. There's no
getting around it.
There's no getting around it. But what the important part is that I think what I'm personally experiencing is the grandness of this whole thing, the life force itself, and all of these micromanagement systems that man has implemented, trying to make you understand something that was given to him and then charge you for it, okay? Which you can make a business out of psychology. There's no two ways about it. But what we're trying to tell you is that's not really even necessary. This is a club you already belong to, and you don't have to pay anybody to sit and think with you. We're happy to do it for you for free.
Yeah. Why buy water in a bottle when it's free at the riverside?
That's it. Exactly. It's all you got to do is walk over there to it, and it really does warm my heart. And I'm very grateful. I know I have many friends that watch the show. Some of you know me from the comedy world. Some of you know me from sales or childhood or whatever it is. I've been wandering around here these last many years. This is what I always wanted to do. This is a culmination of a great idea, of a great meditation. And I didn't know it was going to look like this. I didn't know where it would happen. But here we are. And I greet this world with a smile and open arms. And, I'm the first to admit I'm a flawed human being. I've made many, many mistakes in my life. I've had terrible cases of judgment, ego-induced, selfish, narcissistic, however you want to, scar it. It was, in certain avenues of life, I was wrong, okay? But here I am now, okay, after many years of contemplation, at a different place. And I'm the first to admit that I was wrong, and I'm the first to admit that I've learned by my errors.
One could possibly say that your inner and outer purposes merged.
My inner and outer purposes have merged.
Purposes merged, yeah.
Wow, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's self-effectuating, self-actualizing, and that's Eckhart Tolle.
Ah, very nice.
Somebody who's worthy of study.
Yes.
I had a short conversation with a friend of mine on Facebook this week, and I said that, hey, once contact occurs, everything is changed. And he wrote back, well, if the UFOs and all this stuff is real, it's not going to change how I live my daily life. And I had to tell him that's not the point. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is once it's, the fact that they exist is not making contact. Making contact is the spiritual transformation that occurs so that you can make contact. And then once you do make contact, you are changed forever.
Yes.
Forever, in a good way, in a wonderful way,
Yes.
for the most part, if you're ready for it, and most people are. It's very simple to get ready for it. It's, learning how to dissolve the ego and getting your person and your persona together so that you're doing the thing in life that you were meant to do.
Mike, there are so many people out there hungry for a real change in their life. They've been treading water, they've been watching television, they've been trying to amuse themselves with the arcade of distractions that we have all around us, and they're still empty. They're still not feeling what they wanted to. I love this really obscure band called Itis, and
that and Porcupine Tree.
I love Porcupine Tree. And Itis, one of the lines in their songs is about why do you get high, and they say because being straight doesn't feel as good as it should. And a lot of people take that early exit.
Well, I stopped smoking marijuana because it didn't feel as good as it should anymore.
Right, well, there you go. Well, that's fine. But anything that, if you think that you found a key by adding some substance, and I'll go all the way out to the ayahuasca, even though I've never done it. I still think that same chemistry exists in your brain already.
Well, it does. It's the pineal gland that produces DMT.
Yes.
And it produces a consequence of meditation, the meditative state.
Right.
So that's what you're doing, is producing it. And it's also one of the chemical catalysts or catalyzers that helps us make contact, or in our own minds, in our own brain. It's the chemical substance that allows us to egress into the Exo Consciousness.
Yes, the Exo Consciousness.
So and the feeling of oneness that incorporates it.
I love that phrase, the Exo Consciousness, because that's where you live, man. That's where you can spend every day of your life, in the Exo Consciousness. We say it all the time, don't let your world get small. And know that if you're the kind of person that you're giving love, you're caring, you're tending to yourself, you're tending to others, you're tending to loved ones, you're carrying your load, okay? That energy needs to be propagated by you, for you, because of everybody around you. And you need to recognize that you're already well on your path to enlightenment, okay? Now, if you have some dastardly activities and things that need to change, then you need to make those changes. You need to go towards, is it loving? Is it caring? Is it worthwhile? Does it help? What are those two simple?
I posted on Eckhart Tolle. Once again, Tolle is a remarkable human being. When I began studying the Tao, he came into the sphere of things that I was studying, and his preparation with dissolving and eliminating ego dovetailed well and went hand in hand with my study of the Tao Te Ching.
Okay.
This week I posted this, and Tolle's great. Tolle won't get you exactly to CE5 and contact, but he'll get you so damn close. All you have to do is take the next step yourself, and then you're in.
He'll loosen you up.
Yeah, he'll take you where you need to be, and I would love to bring this guy to a CE5 and get him to make contact.
Wow.
But obviously he hasn't asked yet, so yeah, I'll keep the door open.
It's available to everybody.
It's available to everybody. Just sign up. But this is what he has to say. And many people who are going through the early stages of the awakening process are no longer certain what their outer purpose is. What drives the world no longer drives them. What drives the world no longer drives them. Seeing the madness of our civilization so clearly, they feel somewhat alienated from the culture around them. Some feel that they inhabit a no man's land between two worlds. They are no longer run by the ego, yet the arising awareness has not yet become fully integrated into their lives. Inner and outer purpose have not yet merged. So, just because you're not getting it now doesn't mean you're not going to get it.
Right.
Okay? And then realize that, once you realize that the material world is not getting it for you, you start realizing that the quantum theory of physics and quantum mechanics and everything involved is correct. Is that this material world is a consequence of consciousness, and if your consciousness is awry, then your material world is going to be awry. Okay. So if your consciousness is in sync and you realize that consciousness is primary, what makes you happy? Things don't make you happy.
Right.
What happens in your consciousness makes you happy.
Exactly.
Okay? Things don't make you anxious. It's what's happening in your consciousness and how you deal with things and events that make you anxious. Mm-hmm. Okay? I mean, if we in fact are spiritual creatures that will live forever potentially, and our existence is infinite, okay? Don't get so uptight about shit that happens.
Sure. Well, I'm going to say 75% of my stress, and I'm not a stressful guy. I stress out on some things, but I'm going to say 75% of my stress is me noticing a situation that didn't go the way I had projected that it would. Okay? And not that the way that it happened was wrong or bad. It's just that it didn't go the way I thought. So when you can drop your ego enough to accept the way the world moved, or the people that were involved moved, or the energies that were involved, how those changes did not bring forth your desired result, it doesn't mean that that wasn't the way it was supposed to go.
Right.
So the sooner you can let go of your projected control for how things are going to go, have faith that the universe loves you, the world loves. See, the force of love in this world is so great. That's why its enemies are so brutal. They have to get so low and they have to sell themselves out so hard to fight this love force that we all live with. And I don't know why they fight it, but it's an age-old thing that's been going on for a really long time. And one day it will stop. There are so many projections of thousands of years of peace, eras of peace coming. And where we're at right now is the awakening of that consciousness. What we're finding out right now is that people will someday shed the love of their government, the love of possessions, the love of materialism, and really start to understand themselves in this grand thing, in the total of everything. You'll in the future, human beings will feel so much better about their life because they will be helping each other, they'll be working with each other, they'll be feeding each other, loving each other, caring on each other.
I got to interject.
Go ahead.
The use of the word loving their government, okay? I don't see loving government at all. I see people making attachments.
Okay.
And they're severe attachments. They're not true love. And it gets back to the theory of everything. And if you want to hear the theory of everything, you can hit me up on Facebook or hit my CE5 page. But we're talking about the theory of everything, the big toe. Right. By Thomas Campbell. Now, Thomas Campbell worked for NASA. He was a theoretical physicist and for 30 years there, and he retired. And he came out with the theory of everything. One of his videos is posted on the site. But what Campbell does is it's an hour and a half lecture that's posted And consciousness is fundamental, is the basis for his philosophy, but he also comes to the conclusion, mathematically and through quantum physics and the exploitation of the quantum phenomena, that consciousness is immortal. Your consciousness is immortal.
Yes.
And at the very end of his lecture, he said, "Look, it's all about love. It is all about love." Now, some people may ask, like, what is love? There's so many different, love is charity, love is compassion, love is romantic. There's so many different kinds of love, but the true definition of love is when you see other as self, and when you see self as other. Okay, you cannot help but love yourself or love the other person, and that is the experience of the love that the Tao speaks about, because we are part of the Tao, the universal consciousness. It loves us because we are its children, and once we are consciousness of the divine creator, we love it as our parent.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So child, the love of a parent and a child, that example, although you can't really explain what that is an example of what true love is. It's and the appreciation of another human being in your presence or in your life. That's another form of love. But these are very essential forms of love. So when you talk about love, you really kind of have to help define it.
Yes.
And if you define it when you can, to the extent that you can, people start understanding what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because how do you define love,
Well, there's so many, gradients of it and facets of it. But what I said, the love of government, okay, is the government tries to step in and be the answer.
Be your parent.
Be your parent,
right.
Exactly. So when that happens, okay, and a lot of people are easily, I've been there.
It's like the Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, it is. It is Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah. When you're appeased enough, and we've been saying this for years, food at arm's reach, climate-controlled environments, and cars with shiny wheels, when that's enough to derail you off of your search for your ultimate path, your ultimate truth. Don't get me wrong. I have cars with shiny wheels, okay? Just to let you know. But
I don't, and we're still friends.
You do too.
So they did get it.
You have cars with dusty wheels.
There you go.
He's got great cars he never drives. But anyway,
You're so right, man. I'm sorry. It's like, who's got the time?
Yeah, right.
Once you realize that things are immaterial, all the things that you have just don't mean anything anymore.
It's so, what happens is you go through a surge of minimalism in your soul.
Yeah.
The things that are truly important to you aren't things.
Yeah, it's like the saying that he who dies with the most toys wins. It's like,
that's a great one.
No, he's just dead. It's like, he's dead. His toys don't care anymore.
Right.
They never did, but he didn't get it.
And they're just going to get raffled off to some undeserving relative.
Yeah, it's, they call them laughing heirs.
Laughing heirs.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Yeah. So, what was and if you noticed, and here's the hardest part about all this is when you're alone with yourself and you're trying to sort through this. These last few months in my life, my dear Christine, her mother fell and had a big spinal surgery, and so every day, she just got out of ICU. So every day I've been talking to the family and loved ones who are, fearful for the future, the testing of their faith, all these things. So this has been a daily thing with me. I've been literally the fat kid on a seesaw of life and death, okay? Trying to keep everybody up in the air on the other end. So, and my thighs feel fantastic. And the other thing was, this show goes out on Facebook, and those of you who know me and any of you in the comedy world know that Carl LeBeau passed away last week. And Carl and I were dear friends. And Carl had many, many dear friends. He was just that kind of guy. He opened right up to you, and and every time we got a chance to hang out, we talked about really deep stuff, big picture stuff, and the end of the tunnel stuff, all that. And many years ago, on a balcony in Savannah, Georgia, we were doing the Disciples of Comedy tour together with Ron Bennington and all those amazing, the Ron and Ron shows, just amazing times. It was so much fun. Really, really happy to be part of that. Carl and I sat on a balcony one night and talked about, this existence and when it ends. And we both said, kind of made like a pinky promise, without actually doing the pinky promise motion, that, hey, whoever leaves first, man, come back and tap the other one on the shoulder and let them know that everything's all right on the other side. And that was many, many years ago. And Carl suffered with cancer for the last few years, and he leaves behind a bunch of broken hearts. He's going to be sorely missed. One of the true great stand-up comedians of our generation. Incredible writer, great stage performer, and just a general great dude. So anyway, the other night, I laid in my bed and I put myself in a open, receiving position on my back with my hands up like so, my feet straight. I did some stretching. I did some prayer. Then I went into my deep meditation. And while I was in my deep meditation, this was the day after Carl, or the evening that I learned of his passing, I was thinking about him and dwelling about him and envisioning him. I could see him. I could feel his energy. I could hear his laugh. And I asked him, do you remember the day that we shared this idea? And I said, if you're around, if you're spiritually here, or if you want to, give me that tap, just know that I'm open and my heart is prepared, my mind is prepared, my spirit is prepared to receive information from the other side, a sign from the other side. And I laid there several minutes, went a little deeper into my meditation, and then I felt a heaviness in my right hand, and right hands always have a symbol of truth in most of societies, but I felt the heaviness in my right hand, like there was something pressing down on it. And didn't happen in my left hand. And I said, Carl, is that you? And I had a warm wash. Now, this could all be emotion. You can send it away as circumstance. You can send it away as luck or whatever, coincidence, if you want it. What a weird word that is. Coincidence. Anyway, so I felt the heaviness in my hand, and I felt the spirit, the meditation had become complete at that time. So that being said, it just further ingrained me, and I really have been a little different since then. I've been very, very, I'm always open to receive, and I'm always open to try to understand, but it's even like there's an even bigger opening in my portal now for receiving, understanding, and sharing. And thank you, Carl, and all of us, and Mitchell Walters. I don't know if I got a chance to tell you this. Mitchell Walters, one of the other disciples of comedy. It was Mitchell Walters, Jimmy Schubert, Carl LeBeau, Ralph Williams, Lou Angelwolf, Jeff Appeloff, Dan Carlson, Warren Durso, Larry Feeney for a while, and of course Ron Bennington and Ron Diaz and Fez, and it was just an incredible energy. And if I'm forgetting anybody, I'm really sorry. But Mitch died last month. Okay, so now there's two old comedy dudes that have passed on. Now, Mitch and I did not have the spirit connection that I had with Carl. But something really funny is going on. If you know about Mitch, he really loved the cocaine. He loved the sugar. That's what he used to, I need some sugar. Where's the package? And if you knew Mitch, and you knew him pretty good, he still owes you $80. So, and I'm one of those guys. He still owes me $80. But now I have the story, and that's all the story cost.
Well, debt forgiven.
Absolutely. And it was never even incurred. I when I handed it to him, I go, I'm never getting this back.
Yeah.
So, but what the guys are doing is, he was cremated, and they're taking, Schubert was telling me this, they're taking his ashes and putting them in little Coke vials, okay, and sending them out to his friends. But each one's a little short, because that's the way he dealt. That's the way he took a little taste for himself.
Yeah, never buy your Coke from a Cokey.
Don't buy your Coke from a cokehead.
Yeah.
Buy it from a guy that doesn't get high on his own supply.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Or just leave that shit alone, man.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna find nothing. There's nothing over there. You ain't gonna find nothing.
Yeah, I tried it a couple of times. I have absolutely no receptors for it.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely none. It was like, this is like Ambisol.
Yeah, there was that.
It's like nothing.
Well, my favorite joke about it is I finally quit doing cocaine. I finally got my teeth down to the size I wanted them.
Well, actually, I used to, now the statute of limitations is run, I used to have a girlfriend from Peru.
Yeah.
And her cousin used to send, this is way a long time ago, her cousin used to get pure cocaine from Peru, and what he would do is he would cut postcards in half, and then he would line and glue both sides with cellophane, and they would put a gram or so of coke inside the postcard, and then glue the cellophane sides and slap them together, and he'd be sending her postcards every week.
Wow.
Yeah, that's way back in the day.
But
I used to try that stuff, fresh from Peru, and it was like, sorry, this isn't
blown your head off.
doing anything for me.
Yeah, wow.
So,
well, you're blessed.
I'm glad I don't have the receptors.
You're blessed, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't do a thing.
And the reality of it is, those of you who've been through NA or NA and all that other stuff, all the anonymous programs, the reality of it is, everything that you were looking for was already inside of you, and what you did was you experimented with some false triggers. So, and I mean, I've been in many, many rooms, and I've heard many, many stories about colossal adventures, and it's all whatever it is. But what I'm telling you is everything you're looking for is already inside of you. It doesn't depend on a person. It doesn't depend on a situation. It doesn't depend on a relationship. It doesn't depend on your financial situation. Everything you have and everything that you could ever want to be is already inside of you. And what that is, the hard part of it, is to realize that you got to let go of a lot of your ego to find out who you truly are. Because the ego that you currently possess, even my own self, is ever changing. And many of the things that I used to identify with, I don't identify with anymore. And I think it was David Icke that he had a guy on the show that I liked, and the guy was trying to eliminate the I am a Christian, I am a Catholic, I am a Islamist, I am a whatever.
Well, you're a Latin guy, right? You took Latin. I know that for a fact.
A little, yeah.
You're a strange combination of I studied Latin and Decca. It's like, I really put that Latin to use. but you know, in Latin, when you say I am, or you write I am, what do you write?
The letters I, A, M?
Yeah. What is the Latin translation for I am?
The creator.
No.
No? Ego. That's right. That's right.
Ego. I am.
Right. Self-God. That's what it was. Self-God.
There you go.
Yeah. Self-God.
I am, but ego. So every time you've got I am this, I am that, I am this, it's ego.
Right.
That's right. Just stop that. You're not anything.
Stop it.
You're not. Stop it. Just stop it. That's right. We got to post that. That's where
That's what. If you want to really watch something, you want to really cut to the chase of all psychological evaluations. There's a Mad TV skit with Bob Newhart. It's called Bob Newhart, psychiatrist skit or whatever, and it's totally brilliant and really great. And
I'll post it on the site.
Yeah, very good.
It's
and
good.
J.P. Sears had a really great post last week about the victimhood. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. And he's got some great comedy minds on that as well.
Oh, yes.
Like the blonde, what's her name? From Canada.
I can't remember her name.
I forget her name. Let me interject here a second. When you're talking about the dissolution of ego, there's a great little movie. It's called Hector and the Search for Happiness. Okay, that it was in you all the time. It is up there with like some of my favorite movies, like what was the movie where the Coke bottle gets dropped out of the airplane in Australia?
The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Yeah, the Gods Must Be Crazy. It is up there. It is of that quality.
Yes.
The Gods Must Be Crazy. But it's Hector and the Search for Happiness. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon.
Hector and the Search for Happiness. Is it a cartoon?
No, it's not. It's a great little movie. It was like one of these unsung great movies that talk about, the kind of things we talk about. But I'll make sure I post it and send it to you. You'll love it. It's a good one. It's worthy. It's cool. It's worthy of an Oscar.
It's funny. Many years ago, I had a show on Tan Talk, and it was called Big Picture Radio. And I think back on what I was trying to say then, but never successfully said it to a degree, And Steve Johnson, God rest his soul, another dead comedian friend. He was my co-host on that show, and a really, really funny guy. And see, he was like the tragic other side. Okay, it's like he got it. He understood the banality of human conduct. He really understood that everything he did was stupid. His job, his value system. He really understood that, but he went past, and he almost like blamed himself for it. He could not receive the happiness, and he tore his ass up on drugs and harder drugs and alcohol, and he really let the depression go right into his marrow. And he missed a wonderful, wonderful life. The guy had a truly, really clever wit, and he did try, man. He did some AA comedy nights, and the guy had a really, really good heart and a really good soul. But once he went kind of like through a tipping point.
AA comedy nights, that's truly dry bar.
It is. Oh yes.
Holy cow.
It's as dry as it gets.
Oh wow.
It's as dry as it gets.
It's like playing the Mormon circuit.
In
Ogden tomorrow night.
Jedediah, did you like that one?
Yeah.
So, folks, we've just been through a colossal couple of years here. But this time, the reason that we were taken out of our usual hustle bustle, a lot of us, it was time for us to bend and stretch and reach for the stars. And it was the earth was getting restless with us. And see, the thing about the consciousness is it moves as it will. And it just affected, a little guy like me. But in a way, I'm trying to exercise to what I believe my greatest gift. I love making a room full of people laugh. Don't get me wrong. I got a show Friday night at a place called the Wild Rover It's in that Oldsmar, West Chase, almost Odessa area. Friday night coming up 2 nights from now. The Wild Rover, Lou Angelwolf, the lovely and talented Trish Keating, Mike Murillo. It's going to be a very, very funny show. And just making a room full of people laugh, man. Such an incredible gift. But this show that Mike and I do, this is the soul food here. This is where, the comedy shows are kind of like dessert, But this is, we speak from our heart. There's no monetary gain here. The show isn't monetized. We don't sell merchandise. We just send these words out into the universe because they need to be heard. And there's no other reason. There's no other reason other than that. And, you may think that's egotistical. So I'll take that one on the chin if that's what you think it is. But it's really not. It's because we understand our place in this great vibration, and we're just trying to improve the vibration of others as we go.
Yeah, we're making sweet potato soup for the soul.
Sweet potato soup for the soul.
That's kind of a spin-off of Hector and the Search for Happiness, but watch the movie, you'll get the
Hector and the Search for Happiness. I'll definitely have to index that.
Absolutely, it is a Taoist movie up there with the dude. Completely. I mean, you will once
Big
you're
Lebowski.
A student. You're a student. You will get it immediately. You'll get it immediately. It is such a wonderful movie. Yeah, I mean, watch it. You'll thank me next week on the air for it.
Okay. I will.
It's that good.
I certainly will.
And a couple of parting things. We're wrapping it up, but enlightenment.
Yes.
We're getting to the Latin stuff, but enlightenment. Okay. What's the Latin word? This is a Latin quiz night. It's
right.
What's the Latin word for mind?
Mind? Kyros?
No, mens mentis.
Mentis.
So enlightenment. So that means light in the mind.
Light in the mind.
So yeah, we're searching for enlightenment. So we're looking for light in the mind.
Okay. Light, lucid.
Right.
Okay. Mindset.
Right.
Okay. Think of the doctrine that may have alluded to. Okay. If it had an agenda behind it. Okay, which a lot of Latin did. Okay.
Yeah.
Pull in, and that's so you can weave some sinister into that if you want to.
Yeah, but you could also weave Buddha.
Well, yeah, sure.
I mean, it's a search.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is right there at that crux. Okay, there is the oneness of everything, and then you have your sub-managers. Okay.
The light in the dark.
The light in the dark.
Constant play of yin and yang. The tai chi of all energy interplaying into whatever you want to make of it.
Exactly.
Whatever your consciousness wants to make of it.
And when you get free, and when you get unattached to, and I can't live this life all the time. I mean, I still get sucked back into regular humanity, okay? But every day goes by, I'm a little more aloof. I'm a little more accepting of all things, okay? And hopeful for so many things. So it's a nice progress. I say I love yous. I say I'm sorry. I say, I make my... It was funny yesterday. We went up to see my mom, my brother. All 4 kids were there. My brother and my 2 sisters were there. And we were trying to fiddle with this topper thing on my nephew's truck. And nobody was getting it right. None of us knew how it went. And it was 88 degrees. My brother and I had been moving the garage all day. And we were sweaty and we smelled bad. And my sisters, and they have their way of expressing themselves. And
as all sisters do.
And they're hot and they're sweaty too, and their dogs are yapping. It was a real fiasco. And my mother, we usually don't curse around my mom, and my mom heard some curse words. So last night I felt bad about that, so I gave her a call and I said, "Mom, I apologize for letting that, I said, I know, we don't curse around you, and I apologize." And after I did that, I sat there and I went, what was it that allowed it to be okay at that moment, but then a couple hours later to go, wow, dude, you were so, you were wrong about that. So what I keep hoping for is every time I'm in a challenging situation like that you do keep the cooler head. I mean, I so easily could have taken a deep breath and stood back and really figured out what was going on, but I didn't. I just went in with the fury of my siblings, and so.
All of a sudden, you're 8 years old again.
Dude, it was so 8 years old again, and but again, a nice analogy on one day at a time, man. You get better every day. It's not all going to happen at once. It never does. Why would it? Okay, it can start any day, but it's not. It doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, gradual learn for many people. Some people take a crash course, so to speak, and we move on. What I got? We have a CE5 coming up on the 8th of May. Consequently, I'll be out in Taos for that one, having a CE5 myself, and on that very day.
Yeah.
And
it's just that's how we started here with two. You and Chris can just hold hands and call down a ship yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
No big deal. And
I'll be in a hot spot.
Yeah, and that's great. Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me. Go into places like Joshua Tree and Mount Shasta. What it reminds me of is I was a kid growing up, and every day there was opening season, trout season in New York State. And then all of a sudden, the Beaverkill River was was everybody's go-to river in southern New York State. And they were like shoulder to shoulder fishermen, fly fishermen catching fish because they were stocked and in the water. Okay, right. It so reminds me of Shasta and of Joshua Tree. It's like there's so many fish out there. If you can't see them or catch them in those two places, these ET fish, you're just not
avoiding
there. You're just not trying.
They're avoiding you.
Get your boots on, wait out in the water. You're waiting to jump into your creel, man.
Well, I love it out there. I love the Dallas
I love Dallas.
And the Santa Fe area, and it's just time. It's just time for some zero gravity. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening tonight, watching the show. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah, post it to your friends on Facebook. We're getting some good stuff here, and this is the movement. The CE5 is starting to grow outside the Facebook collective of people who, like to yell at each other for not being CE5ish enough, but yet never practice it.
You're not CE5ish enough.
You're not one of the cult here, so we're going to ignore you. There's getting to be some of that too. So let's try to get past that and
sure.
Like and subscribe. And and my parting word is: may you find and stay in the light and love of the divine universal Creator. At least until the next time you watch us.
That's great.
So
we'll be back next week on the 5th of May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. So, not that has anything to do with anything, but
it's the 5th of May.
It's the 5th of May.
Yeah.
I always thought it was funny. I drove a few years ago when it didn't line up. I drove past the church. It said Cinco de Mayo ceremony or Cinco de Mayo celebration, May 7th. But
closed for Hanukkah.
Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Like we say every week, thank everybody that listens regularly. We love you. And read The Pacifist Riot. It's on the imho.love show. We're on BitChute. We're on Facebook Live. YouTube. Many. Our dear Kathy McGuire shares this all over, and feel free to do whatever you like with it. Archive it, keep it for yourself. Burn a big fatty and listen to Mike and Lou. Whatever, man. Whatever you're into, man. And thank you so much. And doesn't my hair look great tonight?
Lubio, you're just fabulous.
For I am Lubio.
You should start your own line of hair care product. It's like, we don't have any merch, but he's got a hot sauce and hair care product.
That's it. Hot sauce and hair care. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, like we say every week, use your head, trust your gut, and your heart will take you home. I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's Mike Murburg. Like, share, subscribe, give to friends. We love you.
Peace, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, man. Thanks everybody for watching. Yes, my head is good. Thank you.